Hello and welcome to BuzBanter. I'm Das Hat.
I'm Kevin.
I'm Maya.
I'm Merlin.
And, well, we come to you again today to discuss
Final Fantasy figures.
women and girly men, apparently.
Yes.
Just because their hair is fabulous doesn't make them girly.
Yes, it does.
Oh.
No, it does not.
This,
Okay, so
we need an explanation. Exactly, this is your show, so let's do it. What do you got?
Really early on when I started collecting Final Fantasy figures, I noticed there was so many gashapons for Final Fantasy X actually. And then the very first play arts were also Final Fantasy X-2 actually. So here's some of the really early Final Fantasy like gashapons. So that's like little figures that came in I guess vending machines and whatnot, like those little ball things that you put like a $2 to $4 and then you roll it and then you get these things.
You're hoping for Vincent, you end up with, well, actually I didn't really hate too many characters from that series.
I was just hoping for anyone except Kimari, because I was like, because his eyes are kind of derpy, so I was like, I really don't want it. I would have brought more, but I'm just showing Yuna as to show you how it's changed. So as you can see, the earlier gashapon, some of it's still very anime-like in her facial features, and like the flowers aren't painted very well in the earlier ones, right? But over time, when the play arts finally came out, all the detail on this is still nicer, oddly enough.
There is actually quite a lot of detail just on the back bow in terms of the flowering design and everything. It's very well picked out.
I have the art book at home, and this is actually more accurate to the artwork than the actual huge figure over here.
That's amazing.
Which is odd, because like you'd think that the larger figure would be better detail at work, but
right.
And then there's always the tiny Kubrick/Lego wannabes from FF10 too that ended up being quite horrible. I mean, I'm glad they stopped releasing these. Honestly, those faces. What was Square Enix thinking?
Epic derp.
Oh.
Good lord. That's. I can never play these games again. That's
Actually, those figures remind me of N64. What's it called?
the old GoldenEye era sort of.
Yeah, but also
what's
I'm thinking about Zelda's Keeper. What's her name?
I have no idea what that is.
I forget that.
But anyway, moving on. So
this is like $4 because of how much the previous owner wanted to get rid of.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then for FF10-2, this is not the scale that they ended up releasing all the play arts in. This was only for FF10-2, and they had this like huge Yuna figure in the back. I'll move this out of the way.
Okay.
And they've never really released anything quite as large afterwards. I love this figure because of the fact that there were no joints, but also because of the detail. The guns and whatnot are gorgeous. I mean, that's not to say that the play arts isn't as detailed. It's just the play arts face is pretty derp compared to the. I think this is the 1/6 scale. Yeah, 1/6 scale. And then moving on to Tidus from Dissidia. And well, as you can see, 2 copies of Dissidia. Tidus' figure is actually redesigned by Amano type style. So he has a lot of the beadwork and whatnot that is so I guess like characteristic of Amano's work.
Here comes the domino.
Oh no, dominoes! But yeah, but for the most part, he's been redesigned. He's no longer tan. He's like quite pale, to be honest. But I guess it's more interesting as a reimagining of Tidus for the Dissidia games. Of course, Yuna hasn't really been that modified much for Dissidia. Moving on to the creatures, as you can see, there's Odin from FF7 over here. The creature works are gorgeous. You have no idea how much I love this figure.
Give the camera 360.
If you have like underlighting, I guess, like a lamp or whatever, and then you have this above on a bookcase, it like the whole bottom section, all the flames just glow.
Right, because it is somewhat transparent. It catches. Oh yeah, and the bottom of the cape's reflective. It would.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. But then I've been trying to figure out how to pose it on the bookcase without kind of like missing out on that. There's also this creatures collection fan book. It's Yuna actually in the middle. She's not really much of a creature, but I got it because it came with like a fan art book. but the figure is so tiny. When I ordered it online, I thought it'd be huge, but
you can't even make out any details of Yuna. It's more just. Wait a minute, is that her clothing being torn off of her?
No, she's a giant flower.
Okay.
She's I think it's her overdrive. She turns into like a floating flower.
You do realize that I'm North American enough that I just played 7?
Heh.
I apologize. I know about the others, but...
Yeah, 10.2 is, has gotten horrible reviews, but honestly the battle system was so much fun. You could change classes in mid-battle, so some of the costumes that Yuna has, just... It's sad that they didn't release any figures for it, but this is one of the few... And even when it is released, they call it a creature for her other costumes. Riku's got like a giant mech. Right. That she rides, and that's also considered a creature. It ended up being, I think, Vanille's summon in FF13 ended up being like a redesigned version of that mech, but they named it Hecaton after the Greek god, not god, the Titan with all the hands.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Then like the current, this is the current sizes for the play arts, from 7's Advent Children all the way to like 13 and 13.2, they've kept this size for all their figures. They have joints. Honestly, I'd wish that they'd had released some of the figures without joints, but their packaging has gotten crazy good. I mean, they've got like the epic Nordic like poem on the side, and then they've got like the figure itself on the and like little feathers even on the box packaging.
It is pretty looking.
It really is.
This is the thing I like about Japanese packaging. You can leave your figures on display in the packaging, if anything.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But then the North American packaging, it's not bad per se, it's just...
You miss out on a lot.
Yeah, like, I think this is a nice blend of the North American packaging and the Japanese packaging, but this was like a attempt at like showing off both figure and, I guess the packaging at the same time. This is Dr. Aki Ross from not the movie that didn't do so well, the Spirits Within, but I actually love this movie.
Critically, a good movie, just not quite Final Fantasy.
Yeah.
If you had just called it Spirits Within, fine movie on its own.
Inspired by Final Fantasy. If you look carefully, they have like suits and ties and whatnot with chocobos and character on them.
They have everything there, it's just that when you say Final Fantasy, especially at the time that movie was released, there was a certain mental image that went along with it, which was usually, and without fail, a sword the size of an airplane wing.
And you would be riding a giant yellow ostrich.
Yes.
That goes quay. Yeah.
That you also get the gold version 1 through inbreeding.
Pretty much.
Why do you do this? What happens to the other ones? You toss them in the back.
He's like hyper fast.
Yeah, so that's it for figures. Oh, I wanted to compare that. I'll have to move down to Decidios because I don't want them falling. But basically, Tidus' packaging is oddly similar to the Pinky Street packaging. As you can see, Pinky Street is this is Evangelion figures, but. These are designed for little girls. They were designed for little girls.
And so is Titus. Look at him. He's so cute.
You can actually remove the packaging and like put the figures back in. This is where Tidus fails, unfortunately. Even though he poses just like the Pinky Street figures, you cannot remove the packaging without causing damage. As you can see, I've stapled it back. But but for the most part, I think they're all in the right direction. So we can repackage them so they don't get as dusty. In the Dissidia series, I believe that they've released Zidane and Squall and Cloud. I wish that they would release some of the female characters other than Terra. Now that Dissidia, what was it, Duodecim?
Yes.
Yeah, has come out, but oh well.
Well, you can hope, but it's interesting to see the quality of these improve. But as you said, you have some quite popular ones. Actually, now that it has gotten popular, that are of a good quality. But in many ways, the older ones were better, like the ones that didn't have joints on them, that were a little more cheaply made.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it plays into this odd sort of relationship that you have between popularity and quality.
Yeah.
There's a certain midpoint where it's popular enough that you'll invest money to make something that the fans want, that looks very good, that you put up as a display piece, But once it becomes too popular, you start trying to cater to, I guess, a broader audience, ones that want to be able to repose them and everything. You end up with the joints, and so the sort of purist loses out on that end.
I like drawing. So the fact that these figures are posable is good for me. It's better than the little wooden dummy that you can pose around, right?
Right.
And I guess it's good for fan art. But as a collector, I actually have never bothered posing any of these Final Fantasy figures for drawing fan art. I actually take them out of the box maybe once or twice, pose them once, and then I leave them. I don't know why. I can't bring myself to sit there like sketching them out forever when occasionally I haven't suffered this. I have friends that have bought some of the Play Arts figures and their eyes are kind of derp. So they can't look at them for a very long time. They get it because of the fact it comes with all the weapons.
Fair enough. The detail on the weapons, like the amount of detail that's given to a figure, at least has been given to the figures uniformly. You don't find there's one or two items where they just kind of went, screw it, it's Friday, it's 4 p.m, I'm leaving in an hour.
Have you heard about the shipment of FF13? The very first releases of the FF13 figures of Lightning actually has... I've returned my Lightning. I've had multiple friends return their Lightnings because of the fact that her gunblade, the paint jobs on them was so awful that it's like these people did not know how to paint in the lines.
So give me the gunblade, I'll repaint it.
Yeah, no, and then like it's compared to the Japanese release. The Japanese release actually is there's nothing wrong with the gunblades. So we were wondering what happened to the North American release that they had such a terrible paint job. Some people are just not willing to repaint them themselves, right? So they want the product to be perfect the first time, and
which is fair enough if you're paying for it.
And then like the Bleach figures, Ichigo came in the same shipment, but Ichigo, a lot of them had double left hands. They were like, "Where's his right hand?"
That's very odd.
So and then they're like, his sword holding hand is also missing. So I've worked in a store that sells figures, and there's so many complaints about that very first shipment of FF13 figures.
Yeah.
Well, and Bleach figures, but you know, they came together. Play Arts is generally it's known for its quality, but it was just the one time that it was shockingly bad.
It happens. Could have just been someone's last day on the job, and they said, I'm just gonna have fun. But anyway, that actually brings us to the end of our quasi discussion.
Fair enough. Leave comments down below about your favorite figurines. Share with us some stories you have about, I don't know,
fantasy.
bad figurine experiences. Also
your good ones.
Yes,
we always like to hear the good news from you.
I always love seeing like customized figures and
make a video response.
And please, for God's sake, don't give us false links. It's really annoying. And if you're going to, just put up the not safe for work tag. Just please.
Or like what I would be interested in is like seeing if people manage to collect all the summons, because the summon figures are still harder to find than like the actual people characters in Final Fantasy.
We will give you many like points if you post up a link with all the summon figures in a single photo. Non-photoshopped.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can check us out on Twitter at BuzBanter.
And you can check out our articles on Box Office Buzz. Link down below.
This was BuzBanter. Have a good one, guys.
Take care.